There's a lot going on in this movie.
It was like I was watching it for the first time.
I like this movie.
It has a special place in my heart.
Very close to my heart.
This was a good one.
I want to like this movie.
What? Seriously?
I loved it.
Very flat, kind of boring.
This movie blows me away. This movie turns me on.
Terrible. It is terrible. All these keys everywhere. Influences, baby.
Huge fan.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Hello out there in YouTube and podcast land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, where we talk about horror movies and science fiction films and those key elements that lift and or separate them from the average genre fare. Are you new to us? Well, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host David and I. We have crossed oceans of time to be with you. We have been talking about science fiction and horror movies since our childhood, and so long now that we thought, why not share our knowledge with the masses? And that's exactly what we do. And if you're coming back to us, well, you already know this, and you are addicted to our weird criticism, cynicism, and voyeurism. I'm just seeing if he's paying attention.
Oh, yeah, he is. You said voyeurism.
I am here with my co-host, David Horton. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I was just answering an email over here. While you were doing our welcome to our friends and our peoples. I've been doing good. We ice break always with what have we been doing in our genre week, and I was very excited to learn that the two authors that write under the pseudonym James S.A. there's two guys, and I guess that's just the moniker they picked for their duo writing, and they're the ones that did The Expanse, and they just came out with a new novel, and it's called The Mercy of Gods. And I thought, oh, okay. And they said, I thought, is this going to be an expansion of The Expanse, so to speak, or an addendum or a prequel or whatever? No, it's a brand new universe, brand new world building that they've done. But they said it's book one of the Captive series. So I'm assuming they've already planned out and got ready and all this. And maybe it'll be turned into another Netflix series or not, don't know. But I read it, as they say. I listened to the book, and it was remarkably good. Extremely good world building, some really neat sci-fi ideas, great plotting, so that by the end of it, you're going, okay, let's go. And then you find out, oh, the next book won't be out for 2 years or whatever. So, but it was excellent. It was really, really good, called The Mercy of Gods. No reference whatsoever to Expanse. I guess it maybe could take place at the same time, but you're set on a totally different planet with totally different humans, I guess. They refer to themselves as humans just so it's easy for us to, I guess, to empathize with them or to follow the story, to understand their language. But there's no reference to Earth or Sol or our galaxy or anything like that. So. But it's really good. It's very, very well done and extremely well read. So the narrator was really good.
Well, that's cool.
That's what I did. I got into some sci-fi, not visual, but visual in my head. What about you?
Well, I watched a film on, I believe it was Shudder. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Shudder, that I had never heard of, that immediately caught my attention by its title, which is The Vourdalak.
I've heard of that title, actually.
Well, yeah, you heard it 2 years ago when we covered Black Sabbath, the movie with Boris Karloff, which is an anthology film from Mario Bava in the late 60s. No, actually, maybe the early 60s. And the third and final tale of that was called The Vourdalak. It's based on a short story by Leo Tolstoy.
Okay, makes sense.
Vourdalak, for you folks that don't know, is the Russian word, I believe, for vampire. It surprised me. This is a French film, which explains why I had no idea that they had made a feature-length movie based on that story.
Okay.
It's very, very reminiscent of the segment of the Black Sabbath film I mentioned with Boris Karloff. Since it's a French film, I really don't know anything about the people that are in it or had anything to do with it. Synopsis is, in 18th century Eastern Europe, French Marquis Jacques Antoine seeks refuge with a peculiar family after being attacked. The family's patriarch, Gorcha, had ventured out to fight the Turks, warning that if he didn't return within 6 days, he would have become a Vourdalak, a vampire-like creature. As tensions rise and the deadline passes, Jacques Antoine becomes entangled in a creepy tale of horror and seduction. I enjoyed this lengthier version of the story. Of course, I'm a Mario Bava fan, but this movie obviously was made recently, just in 2023, so it's got better effects. One thing that is truly unique is that Gorcha is played by a life-size human puppet.
Okay.
So he's like skeletal, which is creepy as hell. He's got a robe on, and his head is like a skull, and his neck is like a broomstick. So
Okay.
he looks real, just emaciated and creepy. So I was a little freaked out and kind of liked it.
Okay. It sounds interesting.
Yeah. His neck is like it's just skinny to the point of not being humanly possible. So he looks like a vampire that would be very anemic and scary and skeletal. So I liked
Well,
it.
if he's only got a broomstick neck, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. The film gets 96 on Rotten Tomatoes with 48 reviews. And as I said, it's a French film, so you folks won't like it if you don't like subtitles. But otherwise, I would.
Well, doesn't everyone like subtitles now? Isn't that what everyone has to do now, is subtitles?
I certainly do.
Anyway.
Wow. So segue from that. Vampires.
Yeah. Broomstick vampires and a new sci-fi world. Well, sci-fi world, I can zoom off of mine, so to speak, or segue off of mine, because we are doing science fiction this week, which is always the better of the two. No, they're both equally good, but sci-fi is
sorry, my earphone
preference.
fell out. I didn't hear that.
Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't. That was great. But no, sci-fi is my favorite, of course, and this is a sci-fi week, so I'm happy about it. And actually more excited about this movie than I thought I would be when we added it to the list. I remember it. It was good, blah, blah, blah. But rewatching it and doing some research on it and everything was fun and really good. For those of you who don't know and just stumbled upon us, we're glad you're listening and watching us. But we are going to go to 2016 and a film called Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. That's the entire title, Rogue One, a Star Wars Story. This was produced at a time when Disney was trying to say, what do we do with this franchise? And how do we had just bought this franchise for like $3.4 billion from George Lucas. And what were we going to do with it? And one of the ideas was, let's expand. Let's don't tell a Skywalker story. Let's tell something different. Let's go in a different direction. And so a brief synopsis for those of you who may not, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it right now because we will spoil it as we discuss it. But for those of you who have seen it and want a reminder, a brief synopsis for IMDb is, in a time of conflict, a group of unlikely heroes band together on a mission to steal the plans to the Death Star, the Empire's ultimate weapon of destruction. But a better way is if you just read the credit crawl to Star Wars A New Hope Episode 4, that's exactly what this movie is what happened right before the world in general was introduced to Star Wars for the first time. You are following a semi-hero, the daughter of an imperial scientist, and her adventures estranged from her father as she hooks up with a bunch of what is then forming the rebellion to the Empire. At the same time, the Empire is developing this ginormous, huge weapon that can destroy planets with a single burst.
What?
Yes. I know you've seen this movie before. Do you remember the first time you saw it or when you saw it?
This was the second time I have seen it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the first time I saw it was probably upon DVD release, would be my guess. I did not see it in a theater.
I actually did see this in a theater when I saw it. But,
I bet that was cool.
Yes. And again, I'm Mr. Grumpy Pants. I'm sitting there, and at the very beginning, when it doesn't have a crawl, I went, you can't have a Star Wars movie without a crawl. What's a Star Wars movie without a crawl? I always have a crawl. But this one didn't. And then by 15 minutes into it, I went, didn't need a crawl. This is pretty cool. I really like this.
Yeah, for sure.
But what were your initial thoughts then? And are your thoughts now after seeing it twice?
It's really funny. I did not, when I watched it again the other night, I did not remember it that well. I knew what it was about as far as the gist. Let's steal the plans to the Death Star, the blueprints, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But at my first reaction with seeing it the first time, I remembered liking it. So I was like, yeah, this is cool. I like this. So when I watched it again the other night, I was like, okay, I'm really looking forward to seeing this again because I remember liking it, but I don't remember a lot about it. Mm-hmm. And I had watched Andor since then.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like into it totally. And honestly, I can give you a crazy revelation right now that'll probably make your head spin.
Sure.
I like this movie better than The Empire Strikes Back.
Wow.
This would be my second favorite Star Wars movie. I think that the original Star Wars would precede it.
Wow. That's high praise.
Yeah.
Which is good.
There's one reason, and you know why. It's because The Empire Strikes Back did not end.
True. It ends on a cliffhanger.
It's encapsulated. It's one story.
This movie segues directly. You can watch this movie and A New Hope, and it is like you're watching one big marathon movie.
Right. But it didn't leave you hanging.
No, there is total resolution here.
Yeah. It would be as if they released Return of the Jedi before they released The Empire Strikes Back.
One of the best moments in this movie is the very last shot and the very last line, because we get the CGI Princess Leia, and he goes, what do these plans give us? And she says, hope. And then it, dun, 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 dun,
was that CGI? I thought she was alive when they filmed this.
No, that's CGI. She's CGI, and so is, of course, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Right.
Tarkin.
But I thought she filmed some of this. Did she not?
Nope.
Because she died after she saw it, from what I read.
No, she was in. This was done years before we got into the prequels.
I thought that Carrie Fisher was alive until this movie premiered.
I think she was alive after this movie premiered.
That's what I meant. So wasn't she in it?
No, she was not. That's not her. That's CGI at the end of this movie. Yeah.
Why didn't they just get her?
Because I think they hadn't contracted to do the other ones at this time. I think when this came out, because this came out before The Last Jedi. Jedi came out in 17, I think, or 18. This came out in 16.
Well, that's funny. So, I'm looking at the cast list right now, and you're absolutely right. She's not in the cast list.
No,
crazy.
They didn't, and it may have been a money thing. We don't want to pay her when it's one shot, literally.
So they would have to, I would think, because they're using her likeness.
Well, they own her likeness. That's Princess Leia. So
weird.
It was a huge pseudo controversy, but not. The strike was about, are you AI controlling our images now? And do you have control of our image going forward? And if so, do I get residuals off of that? That's what the big strike was about right after COVID. And this was before that, and it was one of the examples they used. was, does Carrie Fisher's estate get money off of Rogue One now because you used her likeness? And the studio was saying, no, we own the character's likeness, and that's what we're using.
Yeah, but it's her face.
Correct. And her voice. So, same thing. They had James Earl Jones do an entire lexicon before he passed away so that in the future they can make Darth Vader say whatever they want him to say with his voice. So, it's just a thinking of the future of the franchise and where does it go and all of that. But it was controversial at the time when it came out, but everybody else...
I'm surprised she didn't sue them.
But also everybody really respected it and respected what they did. I thought they did do it very well.
They did.
I think that his image looks great and the voice works and his mannerisms are very...
Are you talking about Tarkin?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was obviously CGI because he'd been dead for decades.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then her at the very end for that little cap was great.
Mm-hmm. I know they got his family's permission to do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they got hers too.
They must
do it.
They must have.
But those characters being aside, the leads in this movie are Felicity Jones and Diego Luna, Ben Mendelsohn, and Mads Mikkelsen too. And are there any great dynamics or scenes that stuck out to you that you remember that you went, oh, that's the scene I remember or I like or whatever?
Well, the first one's obviously going to be the Darth Vader scene. That's
the hallway.
Huge. No,
the hallway. Yeah,
I'm talking about the one with Mendelsohn.
The very first time you see him. Yeah,
right. Because it's really the only time you see him except to the very end, isn't it?
Correct.
Right. It's just a big scene. It's Darth Vader, and James Earl Jones is doing the voice, and you're like, "Holy cow, man! You never thought you'd see him again."
Mm-hmm.
And there he is.
Yeah.
So that's one. I don't know.
I think the opening is great and sets the whole tone for this movie. First of all, it's the Empire, so naturally we land our spaceship 10 frickin' miles away so we can walk slowly through the fields with the black stormtroopers. But this whole confrontation thing and you need to hide and the way that is all done, is so good. Mm-hmm. And sets up, again, the Empires are definitely the villains. They're the bad guys.
Oh, big time. They kill her mother right there.
Yep, right in front of her.
So there's that. That was another one I was going to bring up, and it's also got Mads Mikkelsen, so you get to see him as well. Also the scene where they go, where she meets him again as an adult, and that Andor has orders to kill him, but she has orders to, or she's there to get him, and that's a great scene. And the whole damn planet is like falling apart. That's, speaking of falling apart, when they leave that moon, Jeddah, which I do have a gripe about that. I think Jeddah was a dumb name to name a moon when Jedi is such a big thing in this universe. They should have named that moon something else.
Yeah, that's.
But the escape from Jeddah would be another scene.
When the Death Star first destroys the temple?
Yeah, the testing of blowing up Jeddah City or whatever it's called.
Yeah. That is a good scene. I even like before that, I like the introduction of the blind character and his whole scene of the Force is with me, the Force is me, I'm the Force, the Force is me, I'm the Force. And that battle that they have is really good.
And of course, Star Wars. It reminds you of being on Tatooine, the streets of Tatooine, only it's the streets of Jeddah.
Yes, very much so. And Alan Tudyk, who did the voice of the robot, he even said, I'm like the anti-C-3PO. But yeah, great humor with the robot, but great sacrifice with the robot, great emotion. The thing that this movie works, the reason I think this movie works so well, and I have even in my notes, this is by far the best Star Wars movie since Return of the Jedi, because I do like the original trilogy. I don't elevate it as high as you did, but pretty close. And it's because Gareth Edwards, who's the director and was really the one that was behind a lot of the project from vision to end, was a Star Wars nerd. He grew up on Star Wars and loves it and loved the myth of it and the mythology and all of that. And that's why it so preserves There's even blue milk in it. Come on. It preserves all of the Easter eggs for Star Wars, but does it in a respectful way, as opposed to what we talked about, like with Last Jedi, where he says, I don't care what you expect. I'm going to turn it on its ear and do my own thing and change everything. Blah, blah, blah.
I totally agree. If it wasn't such a British film, because there's a lot of British people involved, and it was filmed in Pinewood in London. But if it wasn't such a British film, it would also be very Jon Favreau, who is very honest and honoring the, I can't get the word out of my mouth, honoring the original and the myth of the whole thing.
Agreed. Jon Favreau and Loney, the other guy that works with him, both of them are the same way.
These movies, just those two people.
Yeah. Totally. She needs to step aside and let them take over Star Wars. We've said it a couple of times on the podcast already, but they need to be the guiding force behind the Star Wars franchise, and it would get better. It would be good. It would work again. It would be reverence to the original, but also go in new extremes that we didn't expect.
Right.
And that's what should happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, and there's homages, direct homages in this one to the first one, but they're very subtle.
Yeah.
I think the most direct one is probably those two guys from the bar walking down the street.
Show up at the very beginning.
Yeah, they're the same characters that we see in the bar in the original movie.
Yeah, he doesn't like you. I don't like you either. Yeah. But yeah, there's all kinds of homages or Easter eggs. The production design, of course, is very similar, even down to using a current modern video panel in 1976 for the control surface for the Death Star beam. They kept it the same. And those funky little pointed helmets that close on the guys in the gunnery.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. The image of a ship taking off of the moon of Yavin and the guy in the little tower with binoculars watching it take off. It's the same shot as the one in New Hope. So, yeah, it's a very great love letter to Star Wars fans.
I think so, too. And the cameos are perfect. Tarkin is used a little bit more. But the Vader cameo is great. The Leia cameo is great. The C-3PO and R2-D2 cameos are great. They're not overused. I just think they're perfectly placed.
I love the character where she goes to visit. What's his name? Forrest Whitaker plays. I like the character. Yeah. Saul Guerrero. His character is really great, and it's very Star Wars in the fact that he's in this weird armor. He's got this breathe unit, and he's got obviously
Mad Max.
Very much Fury Road. Yeah. And he's got a weird foot, but we only see it in like one shot and we don't play it up and it's just accepted. It just is what it is. One of the things that made Star Wars so good was they would throw all this stuff out like interacting with robots or blah, blah, blah. And that's just the way it was. You just accepted it. You didn't make a big deal out of it. Going back to that whole Roddenberry principle of the cowboy doesn't explain how the gun works. You don't have to. You just accept that this world is world building the way it is. Holograms exist. I love when they download the plans and it's back to 1976 again. It's a little square black and white 3D cube.
Yeah,
and you go, yeah, that means you love the material. You didn't update the material to make it fit into modern audiences or whatever. You said this takes place a week before A New Hope. So we're going to keep everything so that it looks like it's A New Hope.
I wonder what made them keep Tarkin's character when they knew they couldn't get Peter Cushing. But
because they
thought that it was important enough to do this. Obviously,
again, I think it's continuity. He is in charge of the Death Star in New Hope, and he has to be in charge of it. If it's the week before that and they're testing it and they're getting ready to go to Alderaan or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah. But I also like the fact that Gareth said, and in a couple of interviews that you can watch online and everything, he says he staged and directed this movie like a war movie. We find a hero. We find a hero at the beginning. The hero has to go through trials, but he wanted, this is a Star Wars movie, and he wanted the war element. And that's why you've got all the beach assault with things blowing up and people shooting and firing and sacrificing, and so many references we'll get to in Keys to other war movies.
And I like that it's a beach type planet, because we've seen so many desert planets and water planets and stuff.
Desert, water, snow, mountains.
Yeah.
Clouds. Yeah, I liked the beach element, and that was a really cool idea, too. And again, it's Star Wars, so we couldn't have a bunch of little micro antennas or whatever. We have to build this tower that's 58 stories tall with one antenna at the top of it. If anything happens to it, it'll ruin everything, but that's what you gotta have. Several people have tried to capture what Lucas did with Star Wars in reboots and in knockoffs and everything else since then. And there's just an authenticity to giving characters unique things that pull them away, that set them up as a unique character, but it doesn't seem corny or cliche or strange. Like, they left the accent with Diego. He had his accent, and it works, and it's not mentioned. It's just the way he talks.
Well, I was going to touch on the writers of it. I don't really know much about them. One was Chris Weitz. He wrote About a Boy and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but then Tony Gilroy, who was another writer credited, wrote Michael Clayton and Andor. So one of them continued on with Star Wars. The story itself, though, was from some guy named John Knoll, who used to do effects for past Star Wars movies. I'm assuming it's the more recent ones.
Yeah.
The ones that came out at the turn of the century. But the story was also by a guy named Gary Whitta, who wrote The Book of Eli and several Walking Dead video games.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I just thought it was very unique, because I wanted to know, who was this that made this happen, besides Gareth that did the directing. Gareth does big movies. He's done Godzilla, he's done Monsters, and he's doing the new Jurassic Park Rebirth series, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done some big stuff.
Right.
And I also think the music is really good, and it says a lot, because it's done by Michael Giacchino, who...
We just talked about him in an episode not too long ago.
Well, he did Doctor Strange, which you might know. He also did the Star Trek reboot, so the new music in Star Trek, and he's done all the Mission Impossibles, all the Jurassic Worlds. So he's worked with Gareth before, too.
It was either Super 8 or Captain America, I think, one of those two.
Yeah, Captain America, I think, is what he did, too.
Because we talked about him recently. I know we did.
And I found out, though, that they originally had another composer for this who had actually started the project and done stuff, but because they did some reshoots and some changes, because, again, like production notes before we get into cast, the original story for this, they survive. And Gareth didn't want them to. He wanted to end it tragically with these group of martyrs, essentially, dying for the rebellion, but he didn't think the studio would buy it. So they actually filmed the ending where it had a happy ending, and they actually survived and got away. And the studio didn't like it, so they ordered rewrites, and they let him go back and reshoot and film the ending he wanted. But originally, as proposed and pitched, they survived.
It was Super 8, actually. Sorry.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, I just mixed it up because it was driving me crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's done all of the Abrams movies, too.
Yes. Yeah, he's an Abrams guy, and he's a Disney guy. He's done a bunch of Disney. I actually didn't work directly with him, but he was actually working in tandem with a project I was working on when I was at Disney.
Okay, cool.
But what he says a lot about him was, like I said, another composer was hired to do it. I think it was, I can't remember his name. Let me see if it's in my notes. Alexandre Desplat, who had worked with Edwards on Godzilla. He was originally hired to compose all the music and had actually done some in post-production. But when they went to when they added the rewrites and the reshoots and everything, they delayed the project, which meant that he couldn't do the work because he now had a commitment to Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, the Luc Besson movie. And so Michael Giacchino had 2 weeks to watch this movie, score it all, record it, and get it to print. So, and that was while he was finishing, he had just finished Doctor Strange. So he went from Doctor Strange right into this. So, but he's the one that added, the original composer hadn't done it. He's the one that added a lot of John Williams themes to it. And I don't know how it would have done without it. Because you even hear the Imperial March, which you didn't hear until the second movie. But you hear it in this. And you hear other references, Luke's theme, Ben's theme. All of it's
and it's like anything that we've already talked about visually that connects it to the original film. You got to have the music connected to the original film too. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to love the source material, though. I get so upset when so many people are doing these reboots. My big fear about Harry Potter. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I love all the movies. To me, it's probably the greatest franchise in history other than Star Trek, just because it's the most consistent. And the most well done, and the most, and they got very lucky in the fact that very few actors died while they were making the 10-year.
Star Trek's not consistent at all.
No, but it's my favorite just because it's Star Trek. But they're rebooting it as a television series.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I'm terrified that you don't redo Gone with the Wind. You don't need to. You don't redo Citizen Kane. So you don't need to. But details. They redid Interview with a Vampire, and it worked. So, maybe.
Well, a lot of circumstances there.
Yeah, true.
You I just think director, a terrible lead in the movie. You also do it in a TV series now where it works because you have 10 episodes or however many episodes. Actually, it was 2 seasons, so it'd be 16 episodes to do the entire book. So it's much better.
Oh, yeah. Well, and again, respecting the source material, where it's set, how it's done, everything else.
Oh, my God, those guys clearly love Anne Rice, just as much as these guys love George Lucas. Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Agreed.
I can go into cast a little bit. I don't have a tremendous amount. I'll just mention people. I do have a note that Joel Edgerton, Dominic West, Mark Strong, Taylor Kitsch, Joel Kinnaman, Sam Worthington, Charlie Hunnam, and Gerard Butler were all rumored for roles in this film.
Really?
Yeah. West actually had a brief role as a palace guard in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, while Edgerton plays Owen Lars, uncle of Luke, in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Star Wars 3, Revenge of the Sith. So both of them ended up in earlier movies, but they did not end up in this one. I'm not sure who they would play. That's a generic note. Felicity Jones plays the lead, Jyn Erso. That is Tatiana Maslany. No, excuse me. That is a role that was offered, or not offered, but up to Tatiana Maslany, Rooney Mara, and Kate Mara. And they chose Felicity Jones, who was a relatively unknown actress at the time.
Interesting. I could see a couple of those doing the role. Yeah.
I could see Tatiana. That's why I immediately said that. I got starstruck for a second because she's amazing. But Rooney is too. I can't remember who Kate Mara is.
Kate Mara she's good. You would recognize her if you saw a picture of her.
Diego Luna plays Cassian Andor. I also noted that this is a very diverse cast. And I've got some of the notes of like the fact that Felicity Jones is British, Diego Luna is Mexican. He plays Cassian. Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, he's not your favorite, the guy from Westworld. For Ramirez and Sam Claflin were all eyed for this role, but Diego Luna beat them out.
There's a great earnestness to him. It's a unique character to have to play somebody who's double-crossing the hero.
And still be a hero.
And still be a hero and a martyr at the end. Yeah.
Alan Tudyk played K2SO. we didn't recently, but the last thing we saw him in was Serenity, which we covered several seasons back, maybe fourth season.
But he does a lot of voiceover work and a lot of support work on shows. And he's got that alien show. I'm an alien, or
Right.
I'm an alien on Earth.
He
whatever.
has 157 credits.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. He's American, obviously. Donnie Yen, who is Chinese, plays Chirrut Imwe. Imwe, is that how you say that? Imwe?
Oh, yeah.
Wen Chang, or Shang, Jiang, is Baze Malbus. He is also Chinese. Ben Mendelsohn, the last time we talked about him was in The Outsider, I do believe. No,
Yes.
no, that's not true. We did him in Ready Player One.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a villain in that. Yeah,
Right.
as well.
The Outsider's a bonus episode, folks. If you want to see that, that's on the HBO series. It's over on our Patreon channel. He plays Orson Krennic, the bad guy. Here's a picture of him, I believe. And he looks a lot like John Hurt in that picture to me.
Yeah.
He's the one that gets choked by Darth Vader. How would you love that?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the guy that gets choked by Darth Vader in a Star Wars film.
Well, and you get to stand up and overpower Mads Mikkelsen, too. That's pretty cool.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Guy Henry, who is a British Harry Potter actor, played Governor Tarkin, the one they superimposed Peter
Cushing's face
over, or whatever, the CGI. Yeah, the CGI, Peter Cushing. Love that. And I just wanted to mention him because obviously he was really the character. Forrest Whitaker, who I love. He's one of my favorites. He was in The Crying Game, Last King of Scotland, and Black Panther. He plays Gara. He is what would you call him? A rebel extremist?
Yeah, it's based on Che Guevara, is what I got the impression, even down to the name rhythm.
Oh yeah,
but
it is.
He's like a rebel extremist who has gone over in the intervening years when she was growing up.
Yeah,
and become almost a guerrilla operative now. So,
and he stays behind when the city blows up.
Yeah, there's a lot of martyrdom in this movie. There's a lot of self-sacrifice, and I think his underlying message was you're sacrificing yourself for this greater good, and that good is Luke Skywalker. Or that's what it's going to be.
Right.
So,
Riz Ahmed, who is a British Pakistani actor, played Bodhi Rook, the defecting pilot from the Empire. Mads Mikkelsen, as we mentioned, is Danish. See what I'm saying? Everybody's from a different country.
It's a very eclectic cast.
Jyn Erso, Jen's father. He is Hannibal Lecter himself. If you've seen this television series, Hannibal, he is excellent as that character. He was also in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Jimmy Smits makes an appearance as Bail Organa. That's one of the ones from the second group of Star Wars films at the turn of the century. We got him from L.A. Law. And, of course, the Tommy Knockers. He was also in Dexter. Alistair Petrie is British. I like this guy a lot.
Yes, good actor.
He plays the father/principal on Sex Education, which is a show I've been trying to get you to watch for a very long time. He is General Draven in this. Genevieve O'Reilly is Irish. She plays Mon Mothma.
Yeah, Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma. Ben Daniels, oh my God, plays General Merrick. You don't know this because you haven't seen the second season of Interview with the Vampire, but he is Santiago.
Oh, okay.
And he is phenomenal in it. He is a great villain.
That's excellent.
Yeah. As soon as I saw him, I was like, holy shit. I forgot because I couldn't remember this movie. Paul Casey plays Admiral Raddus. James Earl Jones plays Darth Vader. He has only 9 lines of dialogue in this film.
So powerful.
It's such a huge presence.
Powerful. Yes.
And
huge.
Then, lastly, Anthony Daniels comes back and voices C-3PO in a cameo as well. As far as awards, this movie was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, sound mixing and visual effects. No surprise there at all. It lost to Hacksaw Ridge and Jungle Book, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn Awards nominated it for 11 awards. Why are you shaking your head? Jungle Book.
Jungle Book over this. You got to be kidding me. But anyway, go ahead.
Speaking of which, I think that was Jon Favreau, wasn't it? It was.
It was.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep, it was.
Saturn Awards nominated it for 11 awards. It won Best Science Fiction Film, Best Director, and Best Special Effects. So the Saturn Awards made up for what the Academy Awards didn't. It was nominated for scads more, and it won a few of them, for sure. But it is not on the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die list. And I think that is updated through 2020. So I'm not really sure why. I think this should be on that list. I do.
I would agree. I think as a Star Wars edition, it's definitely in our top 4, let's say, of all time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have for casting awards, really.
One of the things that I got from IMDb was the creative team actually found film canisters while they were looking through the Lucasfilm warehouses, and it had old footage that had never been included or had been cut from A New Hope. So they put it in a couple of the battle scenes. Mm-hmm. You get to see actual footage that from Red Leader and Gold Leader and all of the X-Wings. But in this one, they're attacking the planet rather than the Death Star.
Trying to get the shield down.
Yeah, trying to get the shield down.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
I've got a weird note like that I could talk about.
Yeah.
Dermot Mulroney, the actor, plays cello in the scoring orchestra for this film and performs a solo.
Really?
Yeah. He is better known as an actor, mainly romantic comedies, and he is also a classical cellist who occasionally plays in recording sessions for soundtracks. I find that fascinating. I had never heard that before.
I never knew that either. Yeah.
He also did, well, maybe he's friends with J.J. Abrams because he also did Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond. In those orchestras as well.
That's really interesting. You know what?
I bet he's friends with your guy, Giacone or whatever his name is. I bet that's his friends. Yeah, I bet that's the relation, the music relation.
Huh.
Interesting. But that was my trivia.
There's a couple of other ones I thought was interesting. It's very Star Wars fandom, but like Gareth Edwards said he came up with the planet name Scarif after ordering a coffee in a Starbucks. The chain wrote down the names on the coffee cups. The barista simply misspelled Gareth's name as Scarif, and that's why he came up with the title of the planet.
That's great.
Yeah, I also wanted to comment about the fact that I love his pacing in this movie. It's not like a J.J. Abrams where it's just action piece after action piece after action piece. There are some moments of reflection and some moments of downtime, so to speak, where we can get to know these characters and get to see some of their issues and some of the problems they have. And even when it's a tense scene, it's not action, action, action in your face, fast editing, like the whole, what's his name, the Mendelsohn character returning to the planet where the rain is, where the labs with Ursa, and he kills all the scientists and everything. It's a tense scene, but you find out so much about their dynamics and their characters and what they're willing to do and all that. It's really cool. And I like the way he paced that. And I love the way that you see it's a trap. Who's the big shoot? Mothra is the lady she's
a woman. Mm-hmm.
But the big squid-looking guy that we know from Return of the Jedi.
The one that has like a fish head?
Yeah, great big fish head.
Yeah. I don't remember his name, but I know what you're talking about.
He's the one that in Return of the Jedi says, "It's a trap!" Right? And everybody's made fun of that for years and years.
That's funny.
But he has, bring that sort of Carillion cruiser around. I have an idea. And they cut to that long shot and you see the cruiser from the opening of A New Hope. getting in place and everything else. And you go, oh, okay, now, yeah. I was so distracted by the war and climbing up the tower and trying to get the disc and the antenna, yada, yada. Now I know what they're going to end it. And you even see the white hallways and everything else on the ship, and the same guys in the gray and white and black and white helmet uniform.
The continuity at the end, it's like it's really going into the first film. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to end right there, that they're going to turn the corner, give the disc to somebody, and they're going to take off, and it's going to be done.
Hands it through the door because Vader's coming with or whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. You don't expect that at all. You think the way he paces it, it looks like that's the end. They got the transmit, they take the disc, and they're going down the hallway.
And that's the end.
And you think that's going to be, the next scene is going to be turn a corner, there's Princess Leia, give it to her, and we're done.
Yeah.
But instead, he surprises us with all the power going out, and we hear the sirens, and then suddenly they turn and look, and it's that blank, empty hallway, and you just see the red saber go. Mm-hmm. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. And then, but it's also, you think that it might be the end with Leia getting it. And the Carrie Fisher line, but it's not. They go back to the planet and Jyn and Andor on the beach, saying sayonara because they know that the planet's gonna.
With no words, just we did what we could do.
No, it's great. Everybody in this movie dies. A lot of people in this movie, the main characters die.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Is another reason why I think it's great.
and one of the most emotional ones is the robot.
Yeah.
The way he sacrifices himself when he dies, you go, no.
And he takes out a lot of them, too.
Oh, yeah. Again, they all die as martyrs. They all die fighting for the cause, for hope. Mm-hmm. So it was great. Great ending, great movie. Overall, just incredibly well done.
Yeah. I don't have a shit ton of keys because most of the keys, to me, just go back to other Star Wars movies, really. Do you?
Okay. I have some.
Okay.
Go ahead and do your Star Wars.
Some I lifted, and I've got, we mentioned Fury Road, which came to me when you mentioned that mask thing that Saul wears.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you have?
One of the ones that I thought, it struck me the first time I saw it, and then it hit me this time again, the third time, is Mendelsohn and the Ursa character is very much like Oppenheimer. It's like he knows he's created this ultimate weapon and he regrets it.
Oh, okay.
And he's very upset about it. And I wonder if the writers, the director, Mendelsohn, whatever, Mickelson, if they actually were inspired by that or influenced by that, because it obviously is an homage to Oppenheimer, that you are a scientist that's created one of the worst weapons in history.
Bomb or whatever.
Yeah.
The true story. Yeah.
Yeah, the man who literally forced his scientists to create the nuclear bomb, and then once it was done, knew the power that he had unleashed, unfortunately, and that it would be used for huge destruction. So that's one of the ones I had. I also have several war movies. This is very reminiscent of Where Eagles Dare, Guns of Navarone, Dirty Dozen. Even Mission Impossible to an extent, but Mission Impossible is more of a singular guy with his team, as opposed to every member of this team is vital for what they're doing. From the pilot
Dirty Dozen is a good one.
Yeah, it's very Dirty Dozen. Even Inglourious Bastards, because it's the same thing. It's that whole, we're on a mission that we know we might not live through, but we have to.
Yeah, I didn't even think about war movies, but then again, I'm not a big fan of war movies, so I don't watch that many.
But he said from the beginning this was a war movie. He wanted to do a Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. And there are other ones too. I wrote down like 300, they're all doomed. They don't do it, but it's not so much a mission as it is just they're doomed. Kind of thing. Army of Armageddon, Titanic.
Oh, really? I was joking.
No, well, Titanic's not a war movie, but it is a doomed movie. You know how the movie's going to end.
What did you say before that? Army of Darkness? Is that what you said?
No, not Army of Darkness. What was the other one? Wait, I skipped my notes. Let me look at it. Armageddon.
Titanic out there. Oh, Armageddon. That makes sense. Okay. And that is
again those no hope movies. Alien to an extent, but Alien, you have hope for her all the way through it.
Alien for another reason. This is the only other key I have this from, I lifted from IMDb. Gareth Edwards names 3 movies that inspired him as far as visuals. And one of them is Alien. And if you look at that picture of Jim behind me, that looks like Alien.
Yep.
It looks like Sigourney Weaver in that hall with the things above her. But he also said Blade Runner, which I thought was interesting.
Makes sense. Yep.
And then the other one is Apocalypse Now.
I can see Apocalypse Now because the mission he goes on, he knows he might not come back from.
Oh, and actually I have another one, Baraka, which I don't know what that is. It came out in 92. Maybe it's a foreign film.
Seven Samurai. That's one where they die.
That's
the same thing with, what's the Sam Peckinpah one?
Seven.
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven.
Wild Bunch. So yeah, there's a lot of those war movies, Western movies, where they might not make it back.
I'm impressed with all these keys you have. I am. You're doing
I really
liked war movies.
Yeah, I just really liked his reference to some of those moments. And of course, it's all the sacrificial stuff too. I really like the fact that from Saw Gerrera on, these people are dying for their cause. And, I have in my notes, I didn't mention this, I should have mentioned it earlier. The whole thing with, I can't remember his name, Diego's character is
Andor.
The first scene we see him, he shoots his friend in the back and kills him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely an anti-hero, for sure.
He is definitely an anti-hero. And yet by the end of it, we're sad when he's on the beach all hurt there.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about good storytelling.
Well, and I think you'll like Andor because it's a prequel. And I think I told you that the first half of the first season is like a bank heist movie, and the second half of the first season is like a prison break movie. So it's very similar to what he's doing, or they're doing in this film with the war and Western type theme. They're just applying it to the series, the prequel series.
Well, interesting, because Solo, to me, the direct key from this movie, because it's the next standalone Star Wars movie.
I haven't seen it.
Is a heist movie for the majority of it, and then a war movie. So it's very similar. I'd be really curious for you to see Solo, because I'd be curious to see what you think.
I'll probably watch it eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it. But I think it's ironic that we're talking about how the reason these movies and series works is that they're theming them on other genres, Western war.
Yes.
And that's exactly what Jon Favreau does with The Mandalorian.
That's exactly what George Lucas did.
Well, that's true.
I mean,
you're right.
when he was when he was giving ILM the instructions for the Death Star battle, he cut together old war movies from World War II.
Yeah.
And said, this is the way I want the spaceships to fly and stuff. So that's what he was doing. It was those same, and these are all Western tropes. It's either a vengeance story, or it's a reward story, or it's a quest. Yeah. So it's all...
Well, it's all Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey stuff, just like Star Wars.
I went to the barber last week, and he had a Lone Ranger movie playing on his television. I went, what are you watching? And he went, oh, this was just on, so I just left it. I wanted to see a Western, and I can't find any anymore. And I said, well, if you watch this Western, you've seen every other Western, right? This same story of the corrupt cattleman who killed the sheriff with his rogues and is now taking over the town. This may be Lone Ranger, but it's also Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Rawhide. Right. Every other Western has the same plots. And Lucas used that. So does Favreau. Mandalorian is a Western. It really is. But it's also a huge key to this, too. And I haven't seen Andor. So you said Andor's a prequel?
It is, because Andor's in it, and he dies in this film.
So Diego, that character, is actually what they mean by Andor.
Right.
It's his story. Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. Story, I haven't seen that series at all. Yeah, I haven't seen that series at all.
He plays Cassian Andor.
Okay, then.
And the second one's coming out like any time now. It may already be out by the time this airs.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think it's coming out in May.
But yeah, that's really all of my keys other than A New Hope. It's the direct. It is literally almost within a few hours of that movie.
I just looked up the movie Baraka, and I recognize the poster, but I don't know anything about this movie. It's 1992, a collection of expertly photographed scenes of human life and religion. Whatever.
Well, there you go.
It must have been an Academy thing. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have. I think it's, if you're ready to wind up, I think it's safe to say that we both enjoy this movie. Me, maybe even a little bit more than you. We've got one more episode left, David.
I know. It's crazy. The season is almost done.
Yeah, we've got one. Wow. And guess what? It's going to be horror. And guess what? It's going to be 2 episodes. It's going to be a double feature.
It's a double horror whammy to end the season. Yeah. That'll be interesting.
But until then, we'd like to thank all you folks out there for joining us today on our venture back into the world of George Lucas with Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We'd like to tell you that if you like what you hear here, or that is, if you're listening on the podcast airwaves, you can find us on YouTube. There's also some other shows we have on YouTube as well. Just peruse the channel. If you want a guide to what we have that's more easily accessible, go to our website. There you can just click on whatever season and it'll list all 40 episodes down in order. That'll give you an idea of what to look for, because we realize that not everybody's going to hear every single episode. They may want to just pick favorite movies, and that's a good way to do that. And you know what else is over on our website, David?
What?
Merchandise.
Shirts.
We have like shirts. And we have water bottles, coffee mugs, totes, you name it. Lots of Johnny Has the Keys.
Swag.
Swag, yeah. Go over there and get your swag if you would like to support us. And also, there are other ways of supporting us as well, as we have a Patreon channel. You can go over there. We have free stuff as far as bonus episodes. Or if you'd like to support us a little further, you can give us as little as a coffee a month, maybe 2 coffees if you're feeling generous. And we've got 2 shows over there on sci-fi and horror television. One is the original Star Trek, which we're 2 seasons deep into, and the X-Files, which we are getting to be 4 seasons deep into over there as well.
Excellent.
And until next time, as if I couldn't keep rambling more, I will be seeing you, David.
I'll be seeing you in Scary Land pretty soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Talk to you then. Bye.
Can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.